Hey, guess what? I've just found a new job, which is fabulous. The job of my dreams. The person who interviewed me was very friendly. She told me that I got the job. I was so happy. I have some work colleagues that are really nice. They help me a lot. The job which I had last year was horrible. I had to work long hours. I was always tired. The people that I worked with were very nosy. They wanted to know everything about my private life. The office where I worked was on the 3rd floor. There was no lift, so I had to use the stairs every day. Overall, I think changing jobs was a good decision. I've just found a new job which is fabulous. The person who interviewed me was very friendly. I have some work colleagues that are really nice. These are 3 examples taken from the story I've just told you. And they're also 3 examples of relative clauses. Let's have a look at how relative clauses work. Relative clauses make your English a lot more interesting. How? Because they join 2 clauses, 2 sentences together. Look. I've just found a new job. Okay? The new job is fabulous. Okay? So, in the first case, we have 2 sentences. Very simple, very basic. I've just found a new job. The new job is fabulous. The relative clause makes all this information, puts all this information into just 1 sentence. I've just found a new job, which is fabulous. The same happens in the other 2 examples. A person interviewed me. She was very friendly. In the last case, I have some work colleagues. They are really nice. Okay? I have some work colleagues. They are really nice. As you can see, there is a common element in both sentences. I've just found a new job. Their new job is fabulous. Okay? And that's where the relative clause comes into place. A person interviewed me. She, this is the person who interviewed me, she was very friendly. I have some work colleagues. They, the work colleagues, are really nice. So the common element in the 2 sentences in the first case is the new job. Okay, a new job. Okay, the common element in a person who interviewed me, she was very friendly, is, in this case, the person. Okay, we have person. And in the last one, I have some work colleagues. They are really nice. In this case, is the work colleagues. Okay. Right next to these 3 nouns, in this case, the new job, the person, and the work colleagues, we have the relative clause, which is fabulous, who interviewed me, and that are really nice. Right, so this is one of the rules for relative clauses. The relative clause, you write it right next to the element that it refers to. In the relative clause, you need an element which joins everything together, which links everything together. In the first case, I've just found a new job, which is fabulous. Okay? This is the relative pronoun. The person who interviewed me was very friendly. Okay? And I have some work colleagues that are really nice. So, Which, who, and that. What's the rule? It's a very simple rule, really. Which refers to things, such as a new job. Who refers to persons, the person. And that refers to both things and persons. So, work colleagues, in this case, they're people, but you can use who or that. Let's have a look at some more complex examples of relative clauses, all of them taken from the story I told you about my fabulous new job. Well, in this case we have the job which I had last year was horrible, the people that I worked with were very nosy, and the office where I worked was on the 3rd floor. Let's have a look at the first two examples. Well, if we try to find the original two sentences, okay, which are joined by the relative clause, we have the job, okay, was horrible. Okay, and then I had a job last year. Okay, in the second case, the people that I worked with were very nosy, we have the people were very nosy. I worked with people. So what's happening here? Well, the element that starts the subject of the two sentences are not the same. In the first case, we have the job was horrible and I had a job last year. Okay? The people were very nosy. I worked with people. But of course they need an element in common. In the first case is the job, and in the second case is the people. And that's what the relative clause is joining together. So, in the first case, we're talking about the job. In the second case, we're talking about the people. And the relative clause, well, in the first case, which I had last year, okay, and in the second case, that I worked with. Okay? As we saw before, as we saw previously, in the first case we have the relative pronoun which, referring to the job, which is a thing, and in the second case we have that, which, as I told you, can be for persons and for things. In this case is for persons. We could also have who in this case. Now, because the relative clause has got a subject of its own, in the first case, which I had last year, and in the second case that I worked with, see what happens. We can leave out the relative pronoun, okay? And we can say, the job I had last year was horrible. And we can also say, the people I worked with were very nosy. Just one more thing about this second example. Well, the people I worked with were very nosy. Let's have a look at this preposition here, with. Okay, when the verb needs a preposition or, has a preposition like I worked with people, this preposition needs to be at the end of the relative clause, okay? This is more common in more colloquial uses of the relative clause, okay? So, the people I worked with were very nosy. And finally, the last example, the office where I worked was on the 3rd floor. In this case, okay, I worked in an office. It was on the 3rd floor. So we're talking about the office, okay? And the relative clause is where I worked. What's so special about this relative clause? Well, as you can see, it's not We don't find where, sorry, we don't have who or which or that. We have where. Okay? Because we're talking about a place, the office. Also, when we're talking about time, okay, we can use when, or when we're talking about reasons, we can use why. Okay? So that's all about my fabulous job. What about you? Have you got a fabulous job that you love?